Shabbat Shalom, Isaiah Yeshayahu, chapter 22, roughly page 429 in the scriptures. Y'all, new people, we have new people each week ask, Bear, what translation are you reading? Look at the screen. The scriptures. isr-messianic.org, or you can find them for sale at our cost at grindstoneministries.com. And if you can't afford one, you send us a message at Grindstone Ministries, and I don't need to know all the backstory as to why. I just need to know that you need a Bible and where you need it shipped, and we will send one to you at no charge. And because of the awesome support we've received at Grindstone Ministries over the years, we've donated, I think it's over 4,000 copies of the scriptures in the last 2 years. So thank y'all. Bless y'all. Isaiah 22. The message concerning the Valley of Vision. What's the Valley of Vision? Jerusalem. What troubles you now that you have all gone up to the housetops? You who are filled with turmoils, a noisy city, a city of revelry. Your slain are not slain with the sword, nor dead in battle. All your rulers have fled together. Without a bow they were taken captive. All who are found in you are bound together, who have fled from afar. Therefore I said, look away from me. Let me weep bitterly. I'm ashamed of you. You're your own destruction, essentially, is what Isaiah is saying here. Do not try to comfort me because of the ravaging of the daughter of my people. How could you behave this way? For it is a day of uproar and treading down and perplexity by the Master Yahuwah of hosts in the Valley of Vision. And remember, Yahuwah of hosts is the Hebrew Yahuwah Sabaoth, and it is the authority of the general when Yah speaks in this way. Those hosts are hosts of heavenly angels arrayed for battle. It's a lot like when Jim Mattis would say, General James Mattis, United States Marine Corps. He speaks with all the authority of that position and with the host of the entire 235,000 United States Marines, right? So there's an implication there. You should listen, or I can destroy you. For it is a day of uproar and treading down and perplexity by the Master Yahuwah of hosts in the Valley of Vision, breaking down of a wall and of crying to the mountain. And Elam bore the quiver with chariots of men and horsemen, and Tyre bared the shield. These are descendants of Ham, by the way, Jerusalem, and the 12 tribes of Israel, Judah being one of them, Judah being the occupying tribe of Jerusalem, were the descendants of Shem. Both of Ham and Shem were sons of Noah. And so there's this age-old conflict between the sons of Ham and the sons of Shem. That's why there will not be peace in the Middle East until Messiah returns. And so Elam and Tyre are the sons of Ham. Ham was corrupted flesh. Ham is the one that defiled Noah, uncovered his nakedness, and that his wife had corrupted flesh. And that's why there was a continuation of giants in the land, the offspring of the Iliud. We're getting into the weeds. The offspring of the Iliud from the line of Ham, which is why there's still giants in the land with people like the Philistines, descendants of Ham. And that's why Noah, with the wisdom through Yah, chose Shem to be his predecessor, because Shem was a righteous man. And from Shem, you get Eber, and on down the line, you get Terach, and then you get Abram, who becomes Avraham, who becomes the father of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. On down the line, 12 tribes of Israel. One of those sons is Judah, which is the Yehudim, the Jews, which occupy the Valley of Vision and the mountain, Jerusalem, that Yeshayahu, Isaiah, is prophesying to now. Yeah, so this stuff goes back a long, long way. And Elam bore the quiver with the chariot of men and horsemen, and Tyre bared the shield. And it shall be that your choicest valley shall be filled with chariots, and the horsemen shall take up positions at the gate. Then he, Yahuwah, removed the covering of Judah. And you looked in that day to the weapons in the house of the forest. The house of the forest, by the way, was built by King David, and it was an armory. So the weapons of the house of the forest, they're like, oh, snap, we need to defend ourselves. To the armory, bros, to the armories. And you saw the breaches of the city of David, Jerusalem, that it was great. And you gathered together the waters of the lower pool. And you counted the houses of Jerusalem, and the houses you broke down to strengthen the wall. They took the houses apart to fill the gaps in the wall. And you dug a ditch between the two walls for water of the old pool. They built a moat. But you have not looked to its maker. You're trusting in your hands and the works of your hands here rather than to its maker, Yahuwah. You have not looked to its maker, nor have you seen him who fashioned it long ago. And in that day the master Yahuwah of hosts called for weeping and for mourning, for baldness and for girding with sackcloth. Then see, joy and gladness, killing oxen and slaying sheep, eating meat and drinking wine. Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. Might as well party today because we'll be corpses tomorrow, boys. Does any of this sound like it is righteous, that it is honorific of Yah? And it was revealed in my hearing, in Isaiah's hearing, by Yahuwah of hosts, for this crookedness, this sin, this unrighteousness shall certainly not be pardoned until you die, said the master Yahuwah of hosts. And there's an interesting compare contrast here because we have so many New Testament believers. I'm an Old Testament believer, by the way, by grace through faith, lest any man should boast. Amen. Absolutely. And Yeshua, Jesus, also says, if you wish to enter into life, guard the commands. John chapter 12, verse 21, I believe it is. And that's backed up scripturally in Revelation. Here is the testimony of the saints, the set apart ones, those that have a testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, and keep the commands. So it's both, right? And I'm a both guy. But these New Testament Christians, many will say, well, my God would never do that to me. He would never allow his people to go through that. Well, what is he saying here in Isaiah? It was revealed in my hearing by Yahuwah of hosts, for this crookedness shall certainly not be pardoned until you die. He has removed his covering from them because they were not honoring him. And just a little confirmation here. We'll go to Hebrews, New Testament, chapter 10, verse 26. For if we sin purposefully, what is sin? 1 John 3, verse 4, New Testament definition of sin. Sin is transgression of the law. For if we transgress the law, the Torah, purposefully, after we have received knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a slaughter offering for sins. You're no longer covered by that atoning blood of Messiah. Once saved, always saved, brother. Wrong. What does the Bible say? I don't care what your effeminate beta male polo-wearing soft-handed pastor said behind the pulpit, preaching a self-help motivational sermon. What does the Bible say? For if you sin, if you transgress the Torah purposefully, knowingly, you do it anyway, after we have received knowledge of the truth, and we're commanded to worship in spirit and in truth, here is the testimony, here is the endurance of the saints, those that have a testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach and keep the commands. That's the truth. That's in the New Testament, in Revelation. There no longer remains a slaughter offering for sins. You're no longer covered by the blood of the Lamb, the atoning sacrifice of Yeshua, but some fearsome anticipation of judgment and a fierce fire which is about to consume the opponents. You want to be an opponent of Yah? Who you think is going to win that battle? Anyone who has disregarded, this is in the New Testament, anyone who has disregarded the Torah of Moshe, the Torah of Moses, dies without compassion on the witness of 2 or 3 witnesses. Oh yeah, that's Old Testament, right? How much worse punishment do you think shall he deserve who has trampled the Son of Elohim underfoot by abusing that grace, counted the blood of the covenant, the blood of Messiah, by which he was set apart as common, no big deal, and insulted the Spirit of grace, of favor? For we know him who has said, vengeance is mine, I shall repay, says Yahuwah. And again, Yahuwah shall judge his people. Judge who? Judge his people. You shall be judged. Based upon what? Your works and the abuse of that grace that Messiah gave to you freely. Paul said, Shaul of Tarsus, shall we sin all the more so that grace may abound? No, Yah forbid. It is fearsome to fall into the hands of the living Elohim. You should be afraid of one thing and one thing only. And that word fear means deep respect, biblically. You should fear Yah. That's it. Fear Yah. Every other bit of fear is from the enemy. You fear Yah. What does King Solomon say? The wisest man who ever lived in Ecclesiastes 12, verses 13 and 14. Let us hear the conclusion of the matter. Fear Yah and keep his commands. For all works, whether good or bad, will be brought into judgment. So here in Isaiah 22, we're seeing a touch of this judgment here. And it was revealed to me, Isaiah 22:14, in my hearing by Yahuwah of hosts, for this crookedness shall certainly not be pardoned until you die, said the Master, Yahuwah of hosts. Thus said the Master, Yahuwah of hosts, go, come to this steward, to Shebna, who is over the house, and say, what have you here, and whom have you here, that you have hewn a burial site here, as he who hews himself a burial site on high, inscribing a resting place for himself in a rock. See, Yahuwah is hurling you away, O man, and is firmly grasping you, rolling you up tightly like a ball into a wide land. There you are to die, and there your esteemed chariots, where you put your faith in your man-made stuff rather than Yah, and there your chariots are to be the shame of your master's house. And I shall drive you from your office, and you shall be ousted from your position. And it shall be in that day that I shall call my servant Eliakim, son of Hiliaku, and I shall put your robe on him, and strengthen him with your girdle, and give your authority into his hand. And he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. And I shall place the key of the house of David on his shoulder, and he shall open and no one shuts, and shall shut and no one opens. And I shall fasten him like a peg in a steadfast place, and he shall become a throne of esteem to his father's house. And they shall hang on him all the weight of his father's house, the offspring and the offshoots, all vessels of small quantity, from the cups to all the jars. In that day, declares Yahuwah of hosts, the peg that is fastened in its steadfast place shall be removed and cut down and fall, and the burden that was on it shall be cut off. For Yahuwah has spoken. We'll do 23 as well. The message concerning Sor, or Tyre, in Palestine. Howl, you ships of Tarshish, for it has been destroyed, without house, without harbor. From the land of Kittim it has been revealed to them. Be silent, you inhabitants of the coastland, you merchants of Sidon who passed over the sea. They filled you. Sidon, maritime city of Phoenicia, the Phoenicians. And on great waters the grain of Sihor, the harvest of the river was her increase, and she was a marketplace for the nations. Be ashamed, O Sidon, for the sea has spoken, the stronghold of the sea, saying, I have not labored, nor brought forth children, neither have I reared young men, and brought up maidens. Like the report of Mitzrayim, they too are grieved at the report of Sor. Pass over to Tarshish, wail, you inhabitants of the coastland. Is this your city of revelry, whose iniquity is from the days of old, antiquity is from the days of old, whose feet carried her far off to sojourn? Who has counseled this against Sor, the crowning city, whose merchants are chiefs, whose traders are esteemed of the earth? Yahuwah of hosts has counseled it, to defile the pride of all splendor, and to shame all the esteem of the earth. Overflow through your land like the river, O daughter of Tarshish. There is no more strength. He has stretched out his hand over the sea. He, Yahuwah, shook the reins. Yahweh has given a command against Canaan to destroy its strongholds. Canaan, also a descendant of Ham. Imagine that. The Father has chosen people. The Father has the opposite of chosen people. And for a time, after the coming of Mashiach, his first coming, this word is to go out to all nations, all tongues, to understand that there is a redemptive process by the blood of the Lamb to come back into the family. But when Mashiach returns again, if you read Revelation 19, and I would encourage you to do that, it is Yah's chosen people against the entire world, against all the nations. If you have not accepted Messiah at that point, and if you're not walking in his ways, 1 Peter 2:21, you're on the losing end of the equation. The Father will only extend his mercy for so long to these lawless nations before he returns, before the Son returns, and he smites the nations and shepherds them with a rod of iron. And anecdotally, if you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, why did Yah come down to Sodom and Gomorrah? It was to inspect the situation, to put eyes on it. Because the cries of the righteous people in Sodom and Gomorrah had stretched up to the heavens, demanding that a righteous Yah smite the unrighteous in Sodom and Gomorrah. So Yah heard the pleas of those righteous men, and he came to inspect for himself, to provide a witness, to confirm the witness. Because in the mouths of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. That's Torah. Makes me wonder today, how many righteous men are crying, "Come, Master Yeshua, come. Bring your judgment. Bring your righteous right ruling to these nations. Give them the destruction they deserve." Rather than trying to hang on to the wickedness of these righteous nations because of their cul-de-sac and their 401k and their kids' soccer team and their PTA meetings and their cubicle and their Mercedes and their jacked up pickup truck and their whatever, whoring with the nations, yet claiming the name of Messiah. How many righteous men are there crying out, "Come, Master Yeshua, and bring your judgment"? The biblical answer is not enough, because it ain't happened yet. Those cries have not reached up to the heavens. Verse 11, 23:11, he has stretched out his hand over the sea. He shook the kingdoms, the reigns. Yahweh has given a command against Canaan to destroy its strongholds. By the way, out of Canaan comes Mitzrayim, Egypt, where the Father's people were slaves that they were commanded to come out of by the prophet Moshe. "Come out of her, my people, lest you partake of her sins and receive of her plagues." Oh, wait a minute. That's New Testament in the book of Revelation. And he, Yahweh, said, "Never again shall you exult, O you oppressed maiden daughter of Sidon, Cyprus. Arise, pass over to Kittim, even there you shall find no rest. See the land of the Kasdim, this people did not exist. Ashur founded it for the wild beasts of the desert. They set up their siege towers, they demolished her palaces, and made her a ruin. Howl, you ships of Tarshish, for your stronghold is laid waste. And in that day it shall be that Sor is forgotten 70 years, a generation, 80th by strength, according to the days of one king. At the end of 70 years it shall be that Sor, as in the song of the whore. Take a lyre, go about the city, for you forgotten whore. Make sweet playing, sing many songs, so that you might be remembered. And at the end of 70 years it shall be that Yahweh visits Sor, and she shall return to her harlot fee, and commit whoring with all the kingdoms of the earth on the face of the soil. And her goods and her harlot fee shall be set apart for Yahweh, not treasured nor laid up, for her gain is for those who dwell before Yahweh, to eat sufficiently, and for a choice covering. Amongst all that whoring, her gain is for the remnant of Yahweh, who dwell before Yahweh, to eat sufficiently, and for a choice covering. Don't whore with the nations. Unless you just really want to be destroyed eternally. In which case, why the hell are you watching this video anyway? Bless y'all. Shalom.